If for any reason at all oming or chanting isn't for you, feel free to sit or stand or lie down in presence with us instead. Otherwise, you might rest your hands somewhere that feels relatively neutral and close your eyes or gaze down at one spot on the earth in front of you. And take a moment. Set your bones in space. And try not to overly manage yourself towards some idea of perfection. Instead, in the here and now, notice what needs to be balanced. Are things a little tight in the jaw? Do you need a little more lift in the chest? Could you soften the pelvis? Etc. and so on. Right? Just a little bit of noticing, present tense awareness. And if for any reason oming or chanting isn't for you, sit with us in presence. Otherwise, to prepare, take an exhale and take an inhale in through your nose to clear the energetic channel. And an open mouth exhale, HA. Inhale, prepare for Om. Take a long inhale in through your nose and a slow exhale out through your nose. And let's begin today lying on the back. So if you're in a seat, you might roll off of a stack of books or a cushion or props and come to lying down on your back. And as you roll to lying down, you might lay with your legs out long. Good. A position that's relatively sustainable, somewhere you can stay for a few minutes. Begin to pay attention to how things are. Begin to notice the ground beneath you, the texture of the floor, the mat, anything you're touching with your skin. Begin to pay attention to what you're seeing with your eyes and what you're hearing with your ears. Begin to notice what you smell, what you taste. And as you start to notice the external sense information that you're taking in, you might start to also turn towards the internal sense information. You might start to consider the body's context. Where do you feel compressed or extended? Where do you feel soft or active? Maybe you feel old tightnesses, new aches, new pains. Maybe there's just a different amount of ease or space. Right? Sometimes it's nice to remember those options too. Notice how the body is in space, how far away you are from the ceiling, the last door you came in or out of. And begin to notice the energetic context, the mood, the quality, the intention. And the question might just be, what are you practicing? What are you doing on that yoga mat this evening? And many of you I know in real life, and so I can speak to just my only advice is to trust that you are wise, right? And that your intuition will sort itself out. And that things like anxiety, fear, doubt are recognizable, right? You know what they look like. And you also know what it feels like. You've probably had an experience in which you felt free of those things. And you might know what that feels like. And so if you're turning towards energy work, you might consider, where does the energy of power and freedom live in you when you feel it? I suggest maybe when you're dancing and it feels great, right? If that's for you, but that kind of analogy, as it were, noticing where those times are. It could be a meditation. It could be walking with the flowers, etc., so on. So many ways to practice. And as you start to notice your body, begin to notice your thinking mind as well as the energetic context. What are you thinking and how are you thinking it? How are your thoughts fluctuating up and falling away again and again? And as you collaborate with these fluctuations, how things are in the natural world, remember that the body is also in the natural world, and To a degree, so is your mind, right? The stuff that you're thinking. And you are paying attention to it. Anything you can observe, right, isn't the observer. And we're trying to identify our sense of self with that which bears witness. So anytime you identify something, even if you identify it and are reacting to it, remember that the good news is you've identified it. It's not you, it's changing. Let's find the ultimate change that keeps us present, the breath, the Ujjayi pranayama. Wherever you are in your breath cycle, exhale the air you have in your lungs and get a little extra empty at the bottom. Then slowly inhale in through your nose and fill your belly and your ribs. Breathe all the way up into your chest and hold it softly where it's mostly full. Open mouth, exhale, HA. Good. Inhale slow in again through your nose and feel your back body. Maybe it presses down into the ground, your lower back and your back ribs, maybe all the way up to your shoulder blades, and hold it full. And open mouth, exhale, HA, like you're fogging a mirror. Ujjayi pranayama, seal your lips and breathe in through your nose, slowly snoring, spreading your breath three-dimensionally throughout your body and holding softly at that mostly full place. And seal your lips, sigh out through your nose, that same HA feeling, but through your nostrils. And continue to breathe in that way. And notice how breathing affects your body. You might notice that your rib cage rises and expands in the front. Maybe that front V opens. Maybe the back ribs spread. Maybe you notice the exhale, dropping the muscles of the belly down, the spine, feeling pressure into the earth. Little by slowly start to move. As you lie on your back, you might roll your fingers around or your ankles or toes. You might stretch out or up as you breathe in and out through your nose, like you're trying to breathe life into your body. If you haven't done so already, bend your knees and plant the soles of your feet on the mat. And as they arrive there, you might just notice how your pelvis will tilt a little and your lower back might lengthen a little bit more or feel different. And then take another big free inhale across the front seam of your body. And as you're ready, use an exhale to gather your both knees into your chest and give yourself a squeeze. You might rock a little from side to side and front to back. If you're rocking, you might consider the rolling of your lower back as massage against the floor. How can you use the article of folding to feel that pressure? And when you're ready, let both knees drop over to the left and take your right arm out to the right, a supine spinal twist. You might keep your knees stacked or straighten the left leg out so the right knee can come over, or wrap the right leg over for twisted root. You could also place a book or a pillow or a block if you have one in between your two legs or underneath your right shoulder. Breathe. Look to the right only if it feels good. You might feel too much tingling or pressure in the neck, and that's just your anatomy. No problem with that. Just don't look that far. Breathe and notice where the breath goes. Notice what you're paying attention to. And even in the actions, in a certain way, what we do is a bit arbitrary. How you do it is what you're practicing. How do you approach? What is the point of view? What are you paying attention to? Halfway through your next inhale, gather your knees back into center and use an exhale to squeeze the knees into the chest again. Take an inhale to fill the belly and use your exhale to drop the knees to the right side and send your left arm out to the left. You might look to the left. And again, the shoulder and knee don't have to ever touch the ground, either of them or neither of them. If you find one or the other is sort of where you live, you might play around with both. Usually the recommendation is to feel heavy in your shoulder. Try not to activate it and pin it down. Breathe along the twist of your rib cage, along the sides of your spine, in and out through your nose, Ujjayi pranayama. No part of the body's language is flexibility and strength, structure and ease. Remember that the body is just the field, right? The altar in which we do the practice. So notice again what you're paying attention to, what you're identifying with. Halfway through your next inhale, bring your legs up through center, unwind them if they're wound up. And exhale, hug your knees into your chest one more time. You can rock and roll from side to side a little bit, maybe from right shoulder to left hip across the diagonal and vice versa. When you're ready, start to create some rocking and rolling momentum to rock yourself forward and up. If you've never tried it before, try pumping your legs to rock up and forward. And when you rock all the way up to a sitting position, you can cross your ankles and step your knees back into a tabletop position, hands and knees, and start to find a little bit of movement. You might stretch your wrists, tense your fingertips. You might shift your hips from side to side or roll your shoulders or neck around a little bit. There might be action off the mat from side to side. Lateral movement is suggested. Breathe and notice if you can, in fact, breathe and move at the same time. Again, these might be big movements, but they could also be small. Perhaps there's a little bit more space for softness and slowness in your practice today, and you hang the head, stay more still in a shape just to notice the pressures of stillness. There always has to be a lunar side to the solar things, and we are on the cycle of waning, heading towards what is more dark and internal. Remembering that right now we have a lot to rest from, right? The work of this cycle has been large. So give yourself as much permission as you can to consider your own self healing as a form of your responsibility. And start to slowly come towards neutral tabletop in the next few rounds of breath. And find a true stack. If you feel like your wrists are overflexed, you might just walk your hands a little more back or a little more forward to change it. See if you can find a stack where your belly can draw in and you can push your hands down without your neck becoming involved. Then inhale to cow pose. Drop your belly, lift your chin and tailbone up. Exhale to cat pose. Tuck your chin and round your spine. Dome your shoulders. Press the earth away. Follow your breath. Inhale, cow pose. And exhale to cat. And continue through these two spinal shapes with your own breath. You might be moving more in the neck and shoulders, involving the scapula. You might bend into the elbows to change the shape. Be kind to your neck, especially if you feel like it's always initiating or it's the most acute sensation involved. You might let the head just come along for the ride like the ball at the end of the swing tether. And breathe as much as you can through these two shapes. Notice how the inhale expands the backward bend of the cow pose. Now the exhale expands the structured rounding of cat. And slowly, the next 3 or 4 rounds of breath, and to draw yourself gently back towards the hands and knees position. Now, once you're finding stability again, press down into your right hand and inhale to take your left arm out and then up, reaching up, and exhale to thread the needle underneath and behind. Come down to your shoulder, ear, and jaw and land. You might kind of drop down into your shoulders so that you can create more compression. Your hips can go more forward or back. You can do anything with your right arm you like. Reach it out, reach it up, thread it behind the back. Breathe. And often there's an idea that the place where we're stretching the deepest is like the most effective place. It's definitely good to feel what's happening, but effective depth really only seeks to cultivate a physical depth of range, which sometimes can be a distraction from actually practicing balance, noticing how things are in the here and now. Press down into your right hand and inhale your left arm back out and then up, reaching upward. And exhale to find the tabletop shape, 2 hands down. Once your left hand is stable, inhale, take your right arm up, reaching upward. Then exhale, thread the needle underneath and behind your left wrist. Come down to shoulder, ear, or jaw, and breathe. Breathe in the Ujjayi form, in and out through your nose. Continue to pay attention to your breath in this way. Notice where it goes in the body. You can almost use like the breath as a way to decode sensation, sometimes to send a little energy, a little fluctuation of the breath. Things might be different from right side to left side, etc., and so on. Might have different priorities or different requirements to address the realities of the body there. Listen carefully to your body, listen to your breath. And if you moved your left hand away, bring it back to the mat near your nose. And inhale to reach your right arm back out and then up. Exhale to tabletop, 2 hands on the mat. All right. Inhale, cow pose. Lift your chin up, your tailbone up. And exhale, curl your toes under. Inhale, bent knee down dog. So spin your hips high, keep your knees bent. And exhale to drive your heels towards the earth. They might get a little straighter, your knees might get a little straighter, your heels might come to the ground. Your heels might never come to the ground. And the good news is, it doesn't really matter. Right? There's no achievement there. Nobody loves you more, pays you more at work. So continue to notice how things are. Remember that you can stretch in that direction, but the work is to be with what is, right? To attend to the here and now. Inhale up onto your tippy toes and exhale to bend your knees 15 to 20 degrees. Inhale, spin your tail up and press your armpits back towards your ankles. And exhale, drive your heels towards the mat, classic dog pose. Again, inhale, tippy toes, stretch the arches of your feet. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, spin your tail up and almost forward. Exhale, drive your heels low. Inhale up to your tippy toes. This time, exhale, bend your knees and lower them all the way down onto your mat, tabletop position. Stack your shoulders under or over your wrists if you need to move the genuine article. Inhale, cow pose. Lift your chin and tailbone up. Exhale, bend your elbows in and back. Offer your heart forward and down. It doesn't have to hit the earth by any means. Inhale, press back up, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. Round in, curl your spine. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, bend your elbows. Offer your heart. Inhale, cow pose. Press up. Exhale to cat, curl in. Last time, inhale, cow pose. Exhale, bend your elbows, offer your heart forward and down. Inhale, cow pose. And exhale, cat, curl your toes. Inhale, bent knee down dog. Spin your hips high and up. And exhale, drive your heels down. Classic dog pose. All right, pull with your arms. Inhale, come forward, upward push-up plank position and pause. Now, right away, you might discern that you have to distance or change the distance between your hands and your feet. Right away, you might find your knees on the ground and draw your shoulder blades back, finding breath in the plank pose of your choice. Remember, the staff floats right across the river. Take a big free inhale in, and on your exhale, return to downward dog pose. Spin your tail high and your heels low. Let's do a few of those. Inhale, plank pose, pull forward. Exhale, down dog, spin your tail high, heels low. This could also be tabletop to child's pose. Inhale, plank pose, come forward. Exhale, downward facing dog, spin your tail up. Good. Inhale, pull forward with your arms, upward push-up plank. Exhale, knees to the mat, chest to the mat, bend your elbows in and back. Inhale, cobra, flatten the front of your pelvis, tops of your feet down, lift your heart forward and up. Exhale, bring your chin or forehead to the mat. Two more like that. Inhale, Bhujangasana, cobra pose. Exhale, lengthen to lower. One more time in your own timing and in your own breath. Curl your toes from knees or toes. Inhale through table or plank. Exhale through the bent knee down dog on your way to setting your heels low, classic dog pose. Inhale, lift your right leg, one-footed dog pose. Exhale, scorpion your dog. Open your hip and bend your knee and roll your right ankle a few times. Press into your hands. It's okay to bend your left knee. Relax your neck and extend through your shoulders. Inhale, straighten and reach your right leg high, back, and long. Exhale, knee to nose, chin to chest, shoulders over wrists like plank. Plank pose on your inhale. Step your right foot back, bring your heart forward. Exhale, knees to the mat, chest to the mat, lower all the way down. Tops of your feet down. Inhale, cobra, bhujangasana. Exhale, bring your upper body down and curl your toes. Inhale, knees or toes, back to bent knee down dog. Exhale, drive your heels low. Classic downward facing dog pose. Inhale your left leg up, one-footed dog. Exhale, scorpion, open the hip, bend the knee. Press with the hands, relax the neck. See if you can roll your left ankle around its orbit. Always feel free to keep your right knee bent if it relieves your hamstring. Inhale, straighten and reach your left leg high back and long. And exhale your left knee to your nose, your chin towards your chest, your shoulders over your wrist like plank. Plank pose. Inhale, step your left foot back, heart forward. Exhale, knees to the mat. Lower all the way down, chest before pelvis. Tops of your feet down. Inhale, cobra, bhujangasana, lift your chest. Exhale the chin or forehead down and curl your toes. Inhale through plank or table, back towards bent knee, down dog. Exhale, drive your heels down, classic dog pose. Take a big free inhale in through your nose and open your mouth to exhale, HA. Good, breathe in through your nose, Ujjayi form. Like a lion, open mouth, exhale, HA. Good, Ujjayi pranayama in through the nose, breathing. Ujjayi out through the nose, breathing. All right, inhale up onto your tippy toes, spike your heels up. Exhale, bend your knees by 20 degrees. Press with your feet. Inhale, forward, upward push-up plank position. And exhale to side plank with right forearm as the base. You can come down to the forearm. You're welcome to turn it parallel with the top of your space or at any angle you like. Roll to the outside edge of your right foot and bring your left hand to your hip. I like to stagger my feet because I'm trying to prioritize the work in my spine, so I'm not necessarily trying to work my shoulder. You can always do this with your right hand down instead or your left arm up. You're welcome to gaze up, breathe, take 5 breaths, Ujjayi pranayama. Notice how things are. Exhale, plank pose. I suggest the forearm version. We'll be here for about 5 rounds of breath. All of these can be done from the knees and really should be if you're just feeling lower back purgatory the whole time. Breathing. Exhale slowly to Sphinx pose. Lower your hips, lift your heart up. You might walk your elbows a little forward or even much further forward so you can dip your hips a little heavier into the ground and have less pressure in your lower back. If it's just all lower back pressure, no matter what, get a little active, tuck your tail, squeeze your glutes and your low belly. Roll your shoulder blades into your back, take an inhale. You can stay here or on your exhale, press your sternum, your breastbone back, round your upper back and drop your chin towards your throat. Inhale, pull your heart forward and up, Sphinx pose, business. And exhale, draw your rib cage in, your sternum back, round your upper back. One more time like that. Inhale, open through the front seam. And exhale, round in. Inhale, open. And exhale, slow. Bring your hands back and your upper body down. Let's take crocodile to the right. Take your right arm out to the right. Thumb at about nose height. It can be more back at hip height. It's like an airplane wing straight out there. Use your left hand as you look to the left to roll onto the right side of your body. Hang your head. You can take your left arm and hang it behind you. You might need it like a bit of a stilt. You can take your top leg behind your back. Some people bend their knees like they're watching a movie. Take a few breaths to create a little bit of pressure into your right shoulder. Remember, you just want to exercise it. You don't need to load it so much every time that it's burnt out. The depth thing is also just an idea, really, of intelligent training of the body. You want to work depth sometimes, to some degree, but notice the degree you really need to build to be sustained and balanced. How much you really need to pay attention to um, the work that you're doing in your body. What do you feel? And slowly use your left hand to catch you as you roll back onto the front seam of your body. And bring your right hand under your right shoulder with your elbow poking up. 2 hands under shoulders. Curl your toes under from knees or toes. Inhale up through plank or table. Exhale back, downward facing dog pose. Tail high, heels low. Take a big deep inhale in through your nose. Open your mouth to exhale, HA. Inhale in through your nose. Lion's breath, HA. Ujjayi pranayama in through your nose, snoring. Ujjayi pranayama out through your nose, sighing. Inhale high to your tippy toes. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale out into a plank, upward push-up position. On your exhale, lower your knees down. Then bring the tops of your feet down. I like to walk my knees in just a little bit closer to my hands. We're headed to up dog, so squeeze your butt and press your pelvis forward and down. You're going to go through this stage like Ursula crawling on the decks of the ship in Little Mermaid. But you're going to try to take it all the way to the Ariel version. So kick the tops of your feet down and try to suspend your legs. If your lower back will tolerate it, press your hands down and lift your heart up. Take a big free inhale once you've arrived at a spot that feels pretty good. Then the exhale, you might put your knees back down on your way back to child's pose. Send your hips to your heels and the tops of your feet down and your forehead towards the earth, or you might stack hands or fists under the forehead and breathe. So we're getting into a lot of this nitty gritty and then we're going to flow. And sometimes the nitty gritty first can be a lot. So notice the breath. And remember to move at a pace, to take things in a way that serve you, and to keep your sense of humor always. And inhale forward, tabletop. Exhale, downward facing dog pose. Inhale out into a plank position, upward push up. Exhale to side plank with left forearm or hand as the base. You might turn the forearm to roll sideways. Your right hand could go to your hip, up overhead. I like to stagger my feet. You might stack them, breathing. And we're trying to work the strength of our spine, put some compression into this lower left side of the body, breathing 5 more rounds of Ujjayi Pranayama to notice how things are here. Your strength, flexibility, body's language. Try not to shout at your body, though, as you ask it to speak in this way. Good. Forearm plank or plank pose. Roll to a position where you feel stable in your shoulders. 5 breaths, breathing. You're welcome. I've been offering some of these little scapular isolation push-ups. If you're just a glutton for that kind of thing, feel free to breathe through those. Otherwise, stay where you are and notice, how is the ground beneath you? What's working? What's softening? What are you reacting to? Good. Sphinx pose. Slowly lower your hips, lift your upper body up, and roll your heart through your arms. Take an inhale. Exhale, pull your breastbone back, dome your shoulders forward, tuck your chin. Inhale, pull your heart forward and up. Maybe involve the neck if it feels good. Look up, chin up. Exhale, round in, but start with the center of the heart. Try not to lead with the chin. One more time. Inhale, pull your heart through. And exhale, round. Inhale, pull your heart forward through and up. Exhale, slowly walk your hands back under your shoulders and take your left arm straight out to the left, thumb at nose height, and use your right hand to help you roll onto the outside edge of left body. You might take your legs behind you again. You might bend your knees, hang your head. You might feel the same degree of compression, maybe different, might be in a different spot. Slowly in the next few breaths, use your right hand to catch you as you roll back onto the front seam of your body. And this time, please bring your forearms back underneath your armpits, right? So we're coming back to the Sphinx business. Curl your toes under and inhale up to the forearm plank and exhale to the dolphin down dog. So roll your arms kind of in and down energetically. They won't go anywhere. Walk your feet in and bend your knees as much as you need to try to lift your hips up over your heels. Extend through your shoulders by pressing through your arms. Relax your neck. Stay for 3 to 5 breaths. If you'd like, you can add leg lifting. Inhale your right leg up. If you have a Pincha Mayurasana practice and you want to kick up, you're welcome to do so here. I'll offer a little time for it right at the very end as well. Remember, the work on the thing is pertinent more so than doing the thing. If you're up and you want to stay up, stay up. Otherwise, slowly start to find your feet on the ground and walk your feet back to the forearm plank position. Plant your right hand on the mat, your left hand on the mat, plank position. Inhale. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana, lower about halfway. First time, I think. Inhale, upward dog. Pull your heart through your arms, tops of your feet down. Lift your chest up. Exhale, downward dog. Spin your tail high, heels low. Ujjayi Pranayama, breathing in and out through your nostrils. Hopefully you feel a lot of sensation in your arms and shoulders. Plug your hands down into the mat and breathe. Now that you found a little bit of space in those actions of the shoulders and the hips, let's move into some saluting of the sun. Take an inhale, bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, journey to the top of your mat. Fold your upper body over. Uttanasana. You can widen your feet out. You can bend your knees. We do the ragdoll form often. You can flip your palms up or grab for your elbows. About 6, 7 breaths. So if you want to interweave your fingers to drape forward and down or nod your head yes and no, feel free to. And always know that experimentation is involved. Make sure that you're running an experiment, you're willing to give it as much attention as it requires. I guess sometimes I think, like, don't fuck around, right? If you don't need to, be mindful of how you're moving in your body, how you're noticing yourself. Next couple of exhales, release your arms down out of any chosen grip. We'll inhale to halfway lift. Roll your heart forward, a little like cow pose. Feel free to bend your knees. Hands might come to shins or thighs or to blocks or tables. Exhale, forward fold, round in, a little bit like cat pose towards your legs. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your heart. Exhale, forward fold. One more time, follow your own breath. Once you've folded, choose your feet for Surya Namaskara A. You might walk your feet together to touch, leave an inch for your heels, keep your feet hips distance. Usually that's more stable in most cases. Bend your knees, hang your head, and round up over 3 to 5 breaths towards standing position, neutral position. Take your time. If you need to support yourself in a different way, to rise in a different way, do. Once you arrive at standing, take a couple of exhales to roll your shoulders down your back. You might close your eyes or gaze down the line of your nose at one spot out in space. You might have to adjust your t-shirt or move a pet out of the way, etc., so on. Whatever you're doing, practice paying attention to how it is. And practice paying attention to how you are while you take action, right? How are things while you do what you do? And this is the simplest pose in a certain way, a pedestrian stance. Sama means same, siti, standing. We're doing the simplest form of mountain pose. Samasthiti is really a mudra, a gesture, an attitude. But this is the attitude of neutrality. This is like the dichotomy of zero, right? The idea that things are one and inseparable at the same time. As you pay attention to that idea of how you stand in and at neutral, know that it's impossible in the natural world. Spinning planet, revolving universe. You might feel yourself orbit gently around your ankles or the bones of your feet or your hips, even when you feel relatively still and practiced. Try to settle down into gravity as your collaborator as opposed to tensing against it. Because even when you push into it, it will press back as support. And consider what you are trying to practice. Practice being. Practice being you. Practice being now. On your next inhale, flutter your eyes open. On your next exhale, tune into what's around you. And slowly at first, Surya Namaskara A. Inhale your arms forward or out, up overhead, or Urdhva reach upward. Exhale, Uttanasana. Stick out your tail, bend your knees if you like, forward fold, dive down. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, unroll to set the length of your spine. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana, plant your hands and step or float back, lower halfway or all the way. Inhale, upward dog or an alternate like cobra, and exhale, downward dog pose, tail high, heels low. Take a few breaths in Ujjayi form, in and out through the nose, or maybe sighing out through the mouth, a destruction practice and offloading of what is not for you. Study the ground under your hands and use your next available exhale to step or float your feet forward and land at the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your heart spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms up pose, Urdhva Hastasana, reach to rise, inflate to stand up. And exhale to Samastitihi, return to neutral, arms by the sides. Ekam, inhale, arms up, reach upward, fill your lungs. Due, exhale, forward fold, deflate as you hinge at your hips and dive down. Trini, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, unroll to set. Chatwari, exhale, Chaturanga of your choice, half or all. Pancha, inhale, upward dog pose or an alternate. Shat, exhale, downward dog pose, Ujjayi. So remember, even though it's a vinyasa class, as you breathe here, that really just means that breath is the priority. You don't have to do any push-ups, really. You're always welcome to skip it, to use cow and cat as a spinal undulation, to head to down dog or hang and plank. Press into your hands and exhale, step or float forward, land on your feet. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your spine. Exhale, forward fold, hang down deeply. Inhale, arms up pose, Urdhva Hastasana, reach all the way up. Exhale, Samasthiti, return to neutral. Continue, inhale your arms up, reach up, maybe look up. Exhale, forward fold, dive all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your spine straight out. Chaturanga, exhale, step, hop, or floats. Try to stay over your hands as you lower. Inhale, upward dog pose, pull it through. Exhale, downward dog pose and breathe. Now you can always move slower or faster than my words. The nice thing is we pause in down dog. We kind of meet each other there. Right? We're able to take our own time around the lap of the track and still have lunch together, as it were. Notice how you're nourishing yourself in downward facing dog pose. Press into your hands, and in your next available Ujjayi exhale, step or float your feet forward to the top of your mat. Good. Supta, inhale, halfway lift. Ashto, exhale, forward fold. Noah, inhale all the way up to Urdhva Hastasana, reaching upward. Exhale to Samastitihi, return to neutral. A few more. Ekam, inhale, arms up. Breathe to reach upward as you press your feet down. Exhale, forward fold, dive all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift, another back bend, extend your spine. Exhale, chaturanga of your choice, plant your hands and step or float down. Inhale, upward dog pose, unroll your heart. Exhale, downward dog pose, breathe. Study the ground under your hands and under your feet. Study the force of air drawing in and out. Focus on your exhales if you feel like the breath runs away with you. Try to relax your neck and jaw and use your shoulders in a different way to support or transfer your weight. As your thumbs press the earth, exhale, step or float forward to the top of your mat, arrive at the soles of your feet. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your heart straight out. Exhale, forward fold, hang down deeply. Inhale, arms up pose, Urdhva Hastasana, reach all the way upward. Exhale to Samasthitihi, return to neutral. Last one. Inhale, breathing, lift your arms up, reach up, Urdhva Hastasana, stretch up. Exhale, forward fold, dive all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll to set. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana, step or float and lower. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward dog pose. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog. Breathe. Breathe in the down dog. If it feels like the backs of your shoulders need a lot of compression, widen your hands more, turn your fingers a little more out. Exhale, step, hop, or float forward. Land on the soles of your feet. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms up pose, Urdhva Hastasana, reach upward. Exhale, Samastitihi, return to neutral. All right, inhale, take a big breath through your nose, and exhale, bend your knees and sink your hips low for Utkatasana. Inhale your arms forward or up, reaching upward, fierce pose, breathe. Sit low, you can always widen your feet, stick your tail out, draw your pelvic floor up, Mula Bandha, and gather your navel back. Drop your shoulders down, even if you have to widen the hands or take the arms more in front of you. Take an inhale in. Exhale, forward fold, dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold and step your left foot back into a long, low lunging shape. Tent to your fingertips or draw hands to blocks. Inhale, cow lunge. Lift your heart up, dip your back knee. Exhale, cat lunge, straightening both legs, round in. Inhale, cow lunge, sink the hips, lift the heart. Exhale, cat lunge, press with your right foot to drive your right thigh bone back. Inhale, low lunge, bend your front knee. Exhale, left hand down on earth or blocks. Inhale your right arm up, twist to the right, reach up, maybe gaze upward. And exhale, two hands down to the mat, all 10 toes forward. Inhale, rise up, high lunge, crescent lunge, Anjaneyasana. All 10 toes face forward, but you might come really high on the ball of your back foot. Back knee could be bent as you anchor your tail and drive your right heel into the ground. Inhale, lift your heart up, reach up, maybe gaze up, and exhale to warrior two. Spin your back heel down and widen your arms out like a T. You might have to adjust your feet to different widths. Get your back heel down, more so than you worry about the blade of your foot. And even if that means your front knee can't bend quite as much, 90 degrees is really not all that important. Flip your right palm up and inhale, reverse your warrior. And then slide your left hand down your left leg. You're welcome to look up or hang the head down if it's nice to traction. Take another big free inhale across your right rib cage. And exhale to Prasarita Padottanasana. So straighten your right leg, turn your right toes in, and forward fold. I'm going to turn around. Fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your heart. And exhale, folding deeply. You can push into the ground, Prasarita Padottanasana, breath by breath. Press your heels down, knees are straightening, even if they're still bent today. Spin your tail up away from the earth. Good. Inhale and roll, half lift style. Exhale your hands on your hips. Inhale stands you the rest of the way up. Exhale, heels in, toes out. Bend your knees for goddess pose. Sink your hips. You might take hands out, palms up, or keep hands on the hips, or take your arms out or up overhead. If you like to wiggle, wiggle from side to side. If you like to make the Kali sounds or actions, you might stick out your tongue, take those HA sounds. You can always utilize this as time to twist and spread your spine as well, to lift your heels up off the earth, to lift your toes up. That one's harder for me. And find a depth where things are working in an interesting way in your hips for another 3 breaths or so, breathing in and out of your nose. Cool. Inhale, straighten your both legs. Exhale, turn your left toes a little in towards the front of the mat, towards your right toes towards all the way. Shorten your stance. Stick your tail out. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, triangle pose. Right hand down, shin, thigh block, or earth. Left arm up. You can always go up higher, especially to prioritize the twist. Roll your back hip down to twist your heart open. If you're rolling the back hip up, you might end up more in a side bend, and that's okay. It's not the most effective pose to do it in. And if you love it and it feels good, always feel free to follow those instincts. Good. Inhale stands you up over 2 straightening legs. Exhale, hands on your hips. Turn your hips towards the top of your mat. I like to step my back foot in so I can keep my heel down. Take an inhale to lift your heart up, and exhale, fold. Parvatanasana, the side stretch. So it's okay if you kind of have to let your side body stretch and turn to fold over your right leg. You might put hands on the earth or blocks. Try to hang your head. Maybe any part of your head will touch any part of your leg. And as much as you can, get light with your touch in your hands. Make this a leg load-bearing posture. Take an inhale, unroll, half lift style. Exhale, bend your right knee and load your right foot. Inhale, standing L or split. Take off, kick the sky with your left foot. Exhale, fold your face towards your right leg. Both knees might be quite bent to do this work. Hands might be higher. And try to really load bear your right foot as opposed to your hands fully once more. Take an inhale, stretch through your left leg. Exhale, left foot meets the right at the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees, Utkatasana, hips low. Inhale, arms forward or up, still inhaling, stand up. Exhale, Samastitihi, bend your knees, sink your hips. Inhale, Utkatasana, fierce pose. Exhale, forward fold, dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. This time you're going to step your right foot back to the back of your mat, long, low lunge. Tent to your fingertips or hands to blocks. Inhale, cow lunge. Dip your back knee, lift your heart up. Exhale, cat lunge, straightening both legs, round in. Inhale, cow lunge. Exhale, cat lunge. One more time. Inhale, follow your breath. Exhale to follow the shape of the body. Inhale, low lunge. And exhale, plant your right hand down. Inhale your left arm up. You might keep lifting your right hip up so you have something to twist away from. Try to keep your right foot fairly neutral on the ground. Look up if your neck allows and breathe. Good. Exhale your left hand down. All 10 toes face forward. Inhale to rise. High lunge, crescent lunge, Anjaneyasana. Arms up to frame the face. Exhale by exhale, settle your weight forward and down into your left heel. Apply Mula and Uddiyana Bandha, especially if you have a practice of it. And try not to let it be too extreme. Relax your shoulders. Find a stance in your neck that feels good. Unclamp your toes if they're grabbing the mat. Take an inhale, stretch up, reach up, and exhale to warrior two. Spin your back heel down, widen your arms out like a T. Take a few breaths. You might adjust your feet, bend in and out of that front knee in one way or another. As it's available, flip your left palm up and inhale to reverse your warrior. Reach out, up, and back, and slide your right hand down your back leg. Minimal load bearing in that back arm. Try to utilize the stance of your legs to do the work. Good. Inhale, straighten your left leg, and exhale, turn your left toes in and reach towards the right leg as you swoop down into Prasarita Padottanasana, wide-footed fold. This time you're welcome to bind 2 peace sign fingers around each big toe. Try a different variation if you wish. Inhale, unroll your heart. Exhale, folding by bending your elbows and pulling yourself in and down, breathing. Good. Inhale, half lift style. Exhale, hands on your hips. Inhale, stands you all the way up. Exhale, heels in, toes out. Goddess pose. Sink your hips. Arms can be out. Take a choice of action in your body that feels of interest and breathe. Notice the power you have to recruit energy into your pelvis from the earth. Inhale, straighten your legs. Exhale, turn your right toes towards the left toes towards the front of the mat, and step your back foot in a little. Triangle pose. Inhale, stick your tail out, reach your arms out like a T, and exhale, left hand down, shin, thigh, blocker, earth, right arm up, gaze upward, turn your spine. Plant your heels down, draw your navel back, and let your body express the breath inside of the posture that you're doing. Inhale stands you up. Exhale, bring your hands to your hips and turn to face the front of your mat. You might have to step your right foot out to the right and a little more forward. Inhale, lift your heart up, and exhale, folding. And always stop at a higher point and stay. And always work with knees more bent. Work with hands on lifts or towards the ground. Knees are straightening, hands have minimal load bearing. Try to hang your head, your spine. Let your legs hold you as you breathe. Inhale and roll, half lift style. Exhale, bend your left knee, load your left foot, and inhale, extend your right leg up, standing L or split. Exhale by exhale, bring your forehead towards your leg. Breathe. Exhale your right foot down next to your left foot. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward dog pose. Exhale, downward dog pose. And still exhaling, come down to your knees, tabletop. Take a few cows and cats, shrug and hood your shoulders a couple of times. And I'm going to make two offerings. And the first is the Anahata Vishuddha, the melting heart. You can take your arms out long in front. We'll stay a little bit like a yin pose for a couple of minutes. The forehead could come down. You might come to the chin. You can always put a pillow underneath things, especially if your chin feels bony. Some people will come to the chest or the throat, and you'll breathe there. Your knees are relatively under your hips, but your hips might be more forward or more back, and that's okay. The other offering is to work on that dolphin down dog again, rolling your forearms down, hands down, or you could press the palms and try that prayer position instead, and curling the toes under. You might try kicking up just by keeping one leg tall and using your inhales to spring off your other leg. If you get some float time, or if you're at a wall and you can kick all the way up, feel free to switch your legs in the air before coming back down. Otherwise, these might be kicks, and they might be much lower to the ground. Remember, anything that seems graceful, I promise, was truly quite awkward for a long time before it became that way. And we'll meet either in child's pose or in the Anahata Vishuddha, the melting heart. So if you do a few rounds of kicking up and you want to take a stretch across your chest first, do it. I'll let you know, and we all should meet up truly in child's pose, but head there sooner if you'd like to. Next 3 or 4 rounds of breath. Ease your way into child's pose if you're not already there. And slowly roll yourself up towards the seat. We're gonna take just like I don't know what to call it, but like a little baby camel-like thing. If you prefer to do a full camel, feel free. And otherwise, we're gonna take the hips and just let them sit on the heels, or you can sit up on a block if you prefer. If you know the knees are just gonna be purgatory, then feel free to come up to that higher stance. And take your arms up overhead. We're just gonna cactus the arms and lean back. Lift the heart up and try to hang the head back. If your neck is real tense, you might interweave the fingers behind your head and let your elbows draw wide and up. Try to puff out your front ribs, stick out your tail, and breathe. And slowly, you can lift the head if you're holding it, or inhale, take your arms back up, integrate your ribs back in, come back towards an active center. Then exhale to bring your arms down. And take your hips off to one side and bring your legs out long in front of you. You're welcome to sit in any folded seat you prefer. You might take Baddha Konasana to put some pressure into the hips and inner thighs. You might take Paschimottanasana with legs out long, Upavishta Konasana with legs wide, or maybe a combination of folding or twisting instead. And take your time to inhale into extension and exhale to fold forward and down. Once you fold it, if you can relax your neck or support your head so that your neck can relax, I always recommend it. You're the one in there. You have a long relationship with your neck and its tension, so you probably know where to put it best. And slowly inhale to roll yourself up. You might use your hands on the backs of your knees or outer legs to draw them in, or slowly roll up and take your legs long. And as you're ready, roll all the way down onto your back. And as you roll down onto your back, if you know you need to grab accoutrement, if you need props or a blanket or an extra sweatshirt, this might be a good time to grab it. When you get to your back, discern what you need. Maybe you need a back bend like bridge or upward bow. Maybe you need to return to a seat and do a sitting meditation. Maybe there's a pranayama exercise. Maybe you need to do a spinal twist or hug your knees into your chest for a couple of breaths. Whatever you need to do, take 10 or so rounds of breath to do it. And that's really a couple of minutes when we think about the long, slow nature of Ujjayi. If you're ready to rest right away, feel free to head there a little bit early. As always, full disclosure, it's 7:15 right now. I'm working on figuring out how to finish the class on time, I promise. But we'll probably get done about 7:20. So if you need to peace out early or you need to close down the computer so that you can peace out later and not have to worry about my ending time, always feel free to do that. You're welcome to rest in any way you want to. So as you wind down these 10 breaths of any last actions, any last rituals, any last habits, any last patterns, any last pragmatics, and you got to move the dog out of the way, like do the things that you need to do. Take the time to let this also be an energetic action of like setting something down, right? Think about when you carry something large and beautiful that's also fragile, the way that you lift it and hold it, the way that you place it and set it. When your hands leave it, it's already in a sure place. And so as you set yourself in resting, you might consider it in that same way. If you were going to rest your body like a beautiful stone in your Zen garden, how would you place the body? And as you place the body, you can be on your back or your side or your belly. You can take your legs up the wall. You can go rest on a familiar couch or chair nearby if you like. The suggestion is to bring action towards stillness. So if you have any last fidgets or wiggles or yayas to get out, give yourself the space and time to do so. You might close your eyes, choose to look at one spot on the ceiling or up in the sky that isn't moving around too much. The idea is to try to put yourself in a position where you can rest, where there's enough stability that softness and ease can set in. Give over any last manipulation you have of your breath. If you're still doing Ujjayi Pranayama in the next maybe 3 rounds of breath, just try to put it down. Your body's always trying to go back to homeostasis, so it'll draw you back towards a regular breath, an organic breath over time, even if at first things are a little choppy or held or loud or strange. And as you arrive in resting, we'll rest for a few minutes and I'll call you up and out when it's time to return to the stream of action. Again, you might just take this opportunity to practice relaxing and integrating, to practice being you being, to let things be as they are, and to observe all of those fluctuating sensations that fly up into and fall down out of the field of your awareness. I'll call you up and out when it's time to return. Until then, practice paying attention to how things really are. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasti Navaditamastu Mavit Vashavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. If you're lying in rest and wish to remain so or can remain so, feel free to do so. Otherwise, begin to draw your awareness down to your natural organic breath and slowly in your own timeline ask your breath to rise in its awareness and intention to breathe a little longer, slower, smoother, deeper. You can ride the breath action into some kind intuitive body action. Wiggle your fingers and toes, scrunch your face, roll your ankles and wrists, stretch out or up. And take your own timeline. It could be quite slow. You might turn up the volume at some point in time as it feels right for you. In the next 5 or 6 rounds of breath or so, gather your knees to your chest and roll into your favorite side, the left being more lunar and reflective, the right being a little more solar and responsive. And pause to consider the timeline, perhaps the future, perhaps the past, the contributing factors to you, your practice, your work in this lifetime, all the way back to the beginning of the universe, the colliding of stars, the colliding of ancestors, the colliding of teachers, the colliding in our own lifetime with collaborators, the colliding with the self, right? And noting what that interaction is going to create in the future. As you slowly find that awareness, use your top hand to press yourself up into a tall seat when you're ready, and we'll seal in our practice together, this timeline, as it were. That's a traditional chant in the lineage of Krishnamacharya. Whenever we translate from Sanskrit to English, we lose a little bit. A lot of those words have a lot of context, history, idea, life to them. English does too, but Sanskrit's just older, has a little more in that vein. But the overarching meaning, the translation of that chant is about the idea of learning together, right? Of learning in community or learning with a teacher. And it means may we together be protected, may we together know joy, may our work together for the goodness and wellness of all be brilliant, may we not fight, hate, or dispute with one another, and may our work send us in the direction of universal and cosmic peace. If you wish, you can emblemize that idea of non dualism, the things that come together that meet, hands at heart center, Anjali Mudra, or hold the idea in your mind, the shattering of the illusion of separateness. Thank you for your time, your energy, your effort. If you wish, you can bring your thumbs to the third eye. Acknowledge that the work of the mind must find a way to bow to the work of the heart. If you wish, you can bow to yourself to seal in the work, seal in the practice. And thank you very much for doing this work and for taking the time to practice.